Hey everybody, how you doing? Before we get started, I'm going to do some bragging. I'm going to show you the biggest gold in my life. It's going to blow your mind, and it's not going to be what you think it is. So, as you know, I have a beautiful daughter. There she is. She just graduated from Northern Arizona University with a bachelor's degree in forestry and a minor in biology. You've seen her in many of my videos. I'm super proud of her. She's been up there going to school full time for several years and working for the university in one of the science labs also. So she's definitely earned her degree. She graduated with honors. You can see her honor society still there and all that good stuff. So that's awesome, and super proud of her. Love her very much. And my proud daddy moment there. Isn't that cool? And so you probably remember her boyfriend and her buddy Kai from one of the camping trips. We made a video about it a while back. We went up, took them out prospecting, and you can see her boyfriend Jonathan also graduated with a degree in forestry. Her buddy Kai will graduate next year thanks to an error on the part of the university, and that's her friend Mary, who also graduated the next following day. With her specialty, whatever she's doing, something medical, something sports related. I don't recall, but congrats to these kids. These guys are all doing great. They're the bright future of our country, and I think we're in really good hands. So one more time, proud daddy moment. There's my daughter, and she is applying to work with the Forest Service. She's got a lot of things to do and clean up and fix. So she that's a future head of the United States Forest Service right there. So many great things ahead for that young lady. I'm very proud of her. So anyway, on to today's video. Now that I've got my bragging out of the way, let's talk prospecting. So it's been a few weeks since I've been out prospecting. I'm letting a video play in the background of a prospecting trip I went on not too terribly long ago. Just throwing it out there for something entertaining in the background. And so one thing I want to talk about, just going into today's video, in addition to prospecting and gold and all that good stuff, is the economy. And you guys know what's happening with the economy. There's a lot going on. There's no question about gas prices and things like that. And I'm sure that's going to have an impact on many of your summertime plans. It has me kind of stopping and rethinking what I'm doing. My daughter graduating and a lot of other things going on, the timing of my wife wanting to take a vacation. We got some stuff in mind. We may go up to Alaska. We may go to Colorado. We may hang out here in Arizona. We don't really know. We got a lot of options open to us, and we're just really trying to figure it out. But right now is not the time to waste gas. That is for sure. So we start talking about the economy. I've talked about stocks and Bitcoin and gold and all that stuff. And recently you probably noticed the stock market has been really down. And you probably noticed that, Bitcoin went down too. Gold really didn't run as hard as it could. But anyway, with Bitcoin, a lot of people don't understand it. And I had a friend of mine, really close friend of mine, Dennis. He was kind of concerned. He was like, Bitcoin crashed. Did that affect you? And I said, no, it didn't affect me. I unloaded all mine before that happened. And that's one thing that, again, I'm not a financial advisor, but when you're losing money on something, it's probably a good idea not to keep losing money. If you want to make money, you can't do it by losing money on any kind of an investment. And there's scams out there. I mean, there's Bitcoin scams, stock scams, gold bar scams, mining claim scams, equipment scams. There's a scam for every goddamn thing that you can think of. So yeah, there's Bitcoin scams, and people talk about security of it, and it's probably no more or less secure than the person who is administrating the server or who is in charge of your Bitcoin, whether that be you or someone who's hosting a wallet for you. I was talking to my neighbor last night, and we were talking about Bitcoin, and he didn't know you could actually, put it on a piece of hardware like a USB stick kind of thing, and put it in your gun safe or your safety deposit box or whatever. You can do that. And people talk about creating a digital dollar and the equivalent to Bitcoin and all that. Well, we already have a digital dollar, frankly, in my opinion. any of you guys watching, you can PayPal me money. I can PayPal you money. We can use Zelle. That's a dollar going digitally. We're not handing pieces of paper to each other. So I think this concept of the United States government actually going and creating a digital dollar is a little ridiculous because it actually exists. Now, last year when I was up in Montana and a few other places, we were talking to people at these really, small town places and asking if they accepted Bitcoin, whatever they might do with it. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, depending on how you look at it, the answer was no. And a lot of it was because they just don't understand the exchange rate. So you think of a dollar to a peso or a dollar to a franc or Canadian money, whatever the hell is that's called. I don't even remember. But we understand that. We understand that there's currency exchange rate. But with Bitcoin, $1 is some astronomical number of Bitcoin. It's 0.00 something, and it's a pain in the ass to figure out. No one cares. No one wants to do all that and math it out in their head every day. It's just a pain in the ass, and that's why a lot of people don't care about it. The other part with the economy, and people have been worried about stuff, is food. People have been talking about food, and I'm not going to get into any theories or anything on that, but I will tell you this, is you always have a choice in life. You got a choice, the hammer or the nail, and there's a lot of really good videos out there and books that you can buy. When you look around, you drive around town, even on your own property, you will notice that there's spaces of land in your own backyard, your front yard, where you're not growing vegetables. So if you're not growing vegetables, you're kind of your own problem. We have a garden. Do we garden every square inch of our property? No, we don't. We would like to. We're working on it. It's just a slow process. In the summer months, we have to be very selective of what we plant here in Arizona and be mindful of what we do plant. If we do go on vacation, that it's not going to die. So I have my neighbor take care of it or something. But you look at the cities you drive down, and there's these empty lots. And this is not my original idea. There's a lot of people on YouTube talking about this. You can look up a guy named Ron Finley, the Guerrilla Gardener. Guy's pretty epic. He started in LA. But the concept of, hey, here's an empty lot. It doesn't matter, let's say the city owns it, and he did this in LA. He went and started planting food in empty lots. And he was feeding people. And he was actually getting drug addicts and homeless people, getting them inspired, getting them to do things, and saying, hey, I do have a future. I have a way forward. Something can happen for me. And of course, what did the city do? The city shut him down and said, whatever you're doing is not safe or whatever. And that's a big challenge because we worry about overpopulation and all that stuff. Now, if you've ever traveled anywhere in the world outside of your local destination, if you've even driven across the United States, you know that overpopulation only exists in the very heart of big cities. There are millions and millions and millions of acres of land across the world in different countries, different continents, where there is nothing. And things could be there. Things could be put there with solar power. There's places that could be gardened. There's definitely opportunities for water. We really, in my honest opinion, in this world, we don't have an overpopulation problem. That is not a problem. The problem that we do have is we have an underutilization problem. And the problem is the way people think. People think, well, I have to get all my food from the store. Well, why don't you go hunting? I shot an elk a few years ago. It fed us for almost a year. And it was awesome. And I go deer hunting. And I know how to fish. And we garden. So there's a lot of other ways than just going to your store. And you don't have to start big. You don't have to just run out and go, I got to go get an elk. And I got to raise chickens. And I got to do this. Just try planting one plant. Get started. Use your resources. Start using some of that land on your property. Stop worrying and start doing. I tell you, people talk about heaven and hell and this and that and the other thing. I think you make your own hell in your mind. I think that's where hell exists. I think hell is in your mind. And people sit and they just live in this fantasy world of these hypothetical future situations to where they're like, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. There's this, supply food problem, there's this, that, and the other thing, and it just runs like a script in their minds. It's like someone plugged a fear chip into their fucking head. And it's crazy. And they're actually time traveling. They're living this fake fantasy future. And it's, it's unfortunately, it's sad, and it's a reality for a lot of people. A lot of people often, live in the past too. They have past things. They just think about them constantly, and that's understandable. There's some things that it takes time to process. You can't just get over certain things. But to a certain extent, all that aside, you can choose your focus to be in the moment as much as possible. So you're not living in the past or an imagination this direction. You're living in the present, and you're doing stuff. And another part of that I want to mention is always be yourself. Like, seriously, just be yourself. Whatever that is. Don't change for anybody, whoever you are. And really don't care about what anyone thinks of you. And I mean that to the point of don't give a flying fuck about what anyone thinks of you, because in the end it doesn't really matter. It honestly does not matter. You can hold yourself back by worrying about what other people think of you. And again, like, you are your number one best problem solver. You really, truly are. So, if you've heard, food stuff and you're like, oh my God, the world's going to starve or whatever, do yourself a favor. Go get some plants, go get some seeds, and start a garden. Start changing things. Talk to your city. Go to your city and say, hey, can I plant plants here? Can we work out a program to start doing this stuff? Like, my daughter and her buddies at Northern Arizona University, they did this wonderful presentation on pollinators in green areas and what we can do. And by green, I mean where things grow. And we have pollinators like bees and things like that. And we have to respect nature and encourage nature. And we have to teach our kids this. A big part of the problem in the world today, in my opinion, you see kids and you see unfortunate things that may be happening here and there. Well, a big part of that is largely due to parental neglect. I mean, parents have just allowed digital devices to become babysitters. They don't even watch the movies they let their kids watch. They let their kids listen to this violent-ass music. They let them play these violent-ass video games and watch, just consume this. And your body, your mind, all this, everything here, your body's an accumulation of food you eat. Your mind is an accumulation of things you read, things you see. It's just how life works. You're this giant accumulation. And you have to be careful with your children. If you want your children to grow up to be great, productive, healthy members of society who accomplish things and change things for the better, it has to start with you. If you're just going to let the digital babysitter babysit your kids for you and let them watch whatever violent movie or play whatever violent game and never pay attention to what they're doing, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure there. That's your job as a parent. So I'm not saying that I'm a better parent than you. If you think that, fuck off. I don't really care. But I do realize what's happening in the world, and I've raised a pretty amazing young lady. And it's been fortunate because I've learned from other people. It's none of us knows this all. But anyway, this is my talk today, stuff that's on my mind. So be yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself. And we'll be seeing you soon. A lot of prospecting coming up, a lot of good stuff. I got some surprises for you. Got some new vehicles you're going to absolutely really think are cool. I'm not going to show you right now, but you're going to dig them. So have a wonderful day, and I will catch you later.